My name is Rahul Raghavan. I'm a music composer, multi-instrumentalist, and a hat I wear above all else is that of a music teacher. I've been teaching music for over 10 years now. I started when I was 19. Cheers to everybody who's adding both those numbers and finding out how old I am. Well done. So, in all of this journey, the question as to why I teach music, of course, I have a degree in mechanical engineering and an MBA from Deakin, Australia, but somehow I chose this path, and maybe the answers are more clear to me now. The first reason as to why I teach music is because I want for my students their future, irrespective of whether it's certain, uncertain, one of utopia or dystopia, or one of abundance or insufficiency. Irrespective of that, I want music to serve as an anchor from which stems their confidence or their identity. That's the primary objective of why I do what I do. The secondary one is slightly selfish, and that being, teaching is just so fulfilling. I don't know, I had another teacher just before me. Great job, great energy. Teaching is just so fulfilling. Nobody put it best as the oldest student I have. She's 72. Pretty impressive that her husband passed away about 10 years ago. And when I met her for the first time, very few months ago, she said, now my partner in life is music. And that just stuck with me. It renewed my own passion and confidence for music. So that's the reason I teach. On day one here at Cypher, I came in here, some of you might have seen me with the headphones, the weird guy going around with the headphones and a recorder in his hand. That was me. I was recording the sounds of the space. Now, the chatters in these rooms and the echoes of all the speakers and anchors, it's possible to capture that in real time. And for my first piece, I'm going to present to you all sounds of Cypher and maybe even perform over it. Let's see. I think there's one person who's always asking everyone to give a big round of applause to everybody else. So to Shruti, big round of applause, our anchor for the evening. Great job, Shruti. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. On day one, she came into this room early morning, and there were about 15, 20 people here. And she said, hey all, Nikhil Chanappa is coming here. How many of you are a Roadies fan, she asked. A few hands went up, and then she says, oh, but I'm a Splitsvilla fan. And I thought that particular moment, thankfully I had set up just then, and I captured that, and I wanted to make this piece about those echoes. And as speakers, we're always running out of time, isn't it? That also forms another theme. So I'm going to play to you all sounds of Cypher. Check. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the sounds of Cypher captured from these very halls. I'm sure there are some chatters of people right in there, and it's great. I had a lot of fun putting this together for all of you. I put it together just yesterday after recording it, and for all the people whose voices I've used in it, well, thank you for lending your voice. I know I didn't take any consent to take your voice, but we are at an AI conference. I don't think we got to talk about consent right now. So moving on, what I captured was the sound in this moment, but sound as such needs something to travel. What is that? What does sound need to travel? Okay, nice. I see some good graduates on this side. So sound needs a medium to propagate, and I want to take you all on this journey of sound, and I'll tell you how AI was useful in that. When the early universe began, there's a certain theory with which the early universe began. Anybody knows what that theory is? Great, awesome, perfect. Science enthusiasts too. there is one accepted theory. Of course, no theory is accepted fully until it factually becomes right, unless it's the theory of everything. Um, there was this splurge of, say, plasma and matter that came out of the singularity. Some of you are aware of it. And that plasma itself was a medium. So the earliest sound detected is actually from the era of the Big Bang. Now, the Big Bang, what is the timeline before which that happened? How many billions of years ago? Finger, I can't. 13.8, great, amazing. 13.8 of 8 billion years ago, the universe began, is a widely accepted truth. So what happened when that happened? 300,000 years after that. So there was medium for sound to propagate, and scientists were able to record the sound of the Big Bang. So I'm going to play to you the sound of the Big Bang that scientists recorded, and maybe even be one of the first people to play over the sound of Big Bang. Why not? An Indian musician, right? So here goes, Big Bang. We are passing tens of thousands of years. Scientists recorded this just about 20 years ago. They were able to detect the cosmic CMBs, the radiations, cosmic microwave radiations, and then they were able to convert it into frequencies. If we existed at that moment of the Big Bang, none of us would survive. The shocks were intense, very violent. But using CMB and capturing those frequencies and multiplying it by a factor of 10 power 26 is the only way in which we can hear. From this Big Bang, of course, you can all fact check my history. I'm going to pick only certain parts that are relevant for today's performance, but history is 13.8 billion years long. We'll need lifetimes to really go over it. As this led to the formation of multiple galaxies across the universe, we're talking about clusters of galaxies that are coming together, clashing violently. Amongst all of this, I want to take you on to a particular place in the galaxy where there are two supermassive black holes colliding with each other. Me being who I am, a musician and an emotional one at that, and I thought as violent as two black holes colliding the phenomenon is, I thought it was romantic. Don't you think? Two black holes hanging out with each other, coming in, spinning around each other, having a date. I want to play to you what scientists capture. They captured the sound of two supermassive black holes colliding. So let me play that for you all. Time to make it romantic. Maybe modern romance, huh? Two supermassive black holes colliding brought the idea of romance. Imagine using, these are all generated by scientists. But in today's world, of course, you all know generation, we don't talk about generating anything but Gen AI. So it's a very popular topic, and we are here at a conference of AI. I think there is scope for musicians also to use these. I took something that musicians would not use, the sounds of black holes, and these are not used as samples for performances anywhere. But what if we gave AI enough context, right? Now, AI works if there is a data set, right? Humans speak, there are a lot of these recordings of humans speaking, and hence AI is able to recreate speech. There are sounds of footsteps. You've all seen movies. If you hear footsteps, most likely it was not recorded by the actor there. We have something called Foley art, where inside the studio, we record all the sounds that you hear. How many of you like horror movies here? Oh, wow, okay. I can't stand horror movies. But one of the reasons is because when you open a doorknob in the horror movie, do you see how loud it is, right? Because it's mixed that way. Somebody went into the studio, recorded a doorknob separately, and then added it there. So all these possibilities in audio existed. But when I want to continue this journey to that early primordial Earth, what happened when Earth just formed is it was molten madness. It was just floor is lava. You all heard the game, and that's exactly what Earth was. Floor was lava. And this was a very violent Earth. I'm going to transport you all to the soundscapes of when Earth existed there. Now, for this soundscape, I have the power of AI, right? Human to the power of AI. AI helped me generate some of these sounds, which I can't really go into a volcano and get. And some of these samples, somehow AI has these samples and it's able to generate. So I will play it to all of you. The soundscape of primordial Earth. Maybe that's a good name. If you people are willing, if you can have the lights down, it'll be great if you want to close your eyes and listen to this soundscape. Here it goes. Check. Imagine yourself in that molten Earth. There's a huge object that comes and collides with the Earth, size of Mars. And off spins onto one side debris, which finally forms our moon. On Earth, we have all these volcanoes erupting. There are meteors striking, asteroids striking. These asteroids brought with them water. What these volcanoes did, they started trapping all of the water vapor inside. And then when it burst out, you had methane, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and most importantly for us, water vapor that came into the atmosphere. All this violence started to turn to calm, and I want to take you on that journey of that early Earth when we had enough water vapor in the atmosphere, and when the temperatures dropped below 100 degrees Celsius, something magical happened. It started to rain. Violent thunderstorms turned into calmness. And this filled the earth up. And we had the beauty of oceans. The moon was acting its gravity upon earth, and there were tides. And somehow, in all this calmness, if we travel under the oceans into the water, life is starting to evolve. And this life is putting out oxygen into the water and into the atmosphere. The great oxidation effect happens. This allows for algae to grow on land, which become plants. And then you hear the wind in the trees. The conditions were so perfect that life started to emerge. And probably one of our favorite species to evolve are our distant cousins. They were noisy cousins. I think that's why here we are with conference and speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the soundscape of Earth. I hope you were able to feel that moment. We can never go there. We wouldn't survive most of it until maybe the last moments where trees did exist. What's beautiful with AI is it helped me generate 30% of the audio that you heard right now. Asteroids impact on Earth. How do I recreate that? It's not an easy thing to recreate. Even if I go to the studio and throw a few things here and there, much to my neighbors complain or my wife's complain. But AI was able to generate that for me. So 30% of what you heard was generated by AI. About 20% is from amazing Foley artists who must have recorded all of this and put it up on for public use. The other 50% are from my adventures in the jungles recording sounds for moments when it was actually a thing. We were Foley artists back then. So humans sort of took all of this as we moved in this calmness, and we were chimps and we started communicating. We'd hoot and we'd do all the body percussion. We started to discover music itself. Some of the earliest forms of music were actually chanting in religious occasions or change of seasons, or even festive celebrations when you have a big hunt and you have a lot of hunt and will take you through the winter. If that winter was something to survive, it's a winter that's worth celebrating. So these were the occasions in which the earliest form of music began. And over the course of years, we started using all bones of animals and bones of birds to start forming small musical instruments. We had our tools, and these were some of the earliest music technology that must have come about, because tools are this form of expression. The first one was mostly limbs, because we must have started with body percussion. Scientists are not exactly sure. Then must have been the vocal cords, an amazing music instrument, very tangible. All of you can take up singing without having to buy a music instrument. It's a great, very tangible way to start being in touch with music. And we kind of elevated that to standards unknown, almost as if we accelerated this billions of years, say 13.8, and Earth is probably about 4.23 billion years old from where I started the story. Now, when you combine all of this, within 8 billion years, that journey that this planet has undergone to have us here, music has undergone the same thing in a very short amount of time. So we had Western music, we have Indian music, very rich. If you ask me, well, I'm an Indian, so I'm obviously biased when I say Indian music is complicated, but you must only ask the Beatles why they came to India, because the music we have here, we've figured out almost all the permutations and combinations of scales or ragas in music. In Western music, now I'm trained in Western music, and I have used probably 5, 6 ragas in total. Indian music has 72 times 6 or 8 number of ragas, and there are musicians in India. You go to them, tell them the name of the rag, they will sing it to you exactly the way it is. And that's what fascinated a lot of the world as to why our music was more complex. So I want to play to you all how this music has evolved. I have with me some tech that I've brought here today. DJs use this often, and I thought it's great if I can use it for fusion music. So I'm going to play to you a small piece. I've not named it yet. Maybe you can all name it for me at the end of the session as to what you feel. So here goes. I'm going to build some layers, and we'll see how it goes from there. So a lot of artists are using this these days. Let's see. ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to name it. Maybe you can all help me name it. But of all this, I took you through the universe, I took you through that primordial earth, and took you through a bit of music. I do these sessions as soundscape, sort of like music therapy, for my students and for people who want it generally. But what's important and a great takeaway for those here is I spoke about a percentage of AI that I used. What percentage was that? Great. Thank you for listening. Yes, that's 30%. For me, and for that particular piece, that slider of AI to human, I was comfortable with 30% being there for that particular piece. Like that, I think for all artists out there, if you're at zero, well, we're stuck in the Stone Age. We would not exist. Is it 5% that you're comfortable with? Is it 70% that you're comfortable with? What is it that works for you? You must find that out. For enterprises, I think the same thing applies. You're more complex creatures, enterprises and organizations, because you have a great friend called capitalism. And for humankind, is it friend or foe? I'm not sure. That's for the policymakers to decide. You can't shift as quickly, but I think the idea of what percentage is AI, that slider, where does it work? For those of you who are employees at companies, are you all scared? Nobody's scared. I don't know. I'm pretty scared. Though my profession is not in that 40 jobs that Microsoft recently posted to be replaced by AI. And the 40, they said, cannot be replaced by AI. For enterprise people, well, see, I spoke to a lot of you around on day one, and there is the tinge of fear, naturally. Think about it this way. How much AI are you willing to put into your own work, into your own productivity? What is that slider number for you? And very importantly, if you see your company pushing that slider up to 20, 30, all right, you can do that. As much as they start pushing it to 50, 60, 70, 80, you must understand that it wouldn't take long for it to become 100, and that particular role being obsolete, right? Watch out for these signs as to what companies are doing, yes. We must, at the end of the day, look out for what is human, and that has a premium, as everybody's saying, it has a premium. Yes, it really does. For all of you here, there's something somebody here at the conference told me. Firstly, they told me that I was doing the Super 30 of music, because I generally teach a very small group of students. I never thought of it that way. And that interaction, that person also told, I've forgotten his name. He said, if AI comes in and takes over, we are 8 billion people. Tod faad denge AI ko, which I thought was phenomenal. Yes, true. If you see it creating a sort of existential crisis, then humans will come, band together, and take over and take it up. But until then, the slider is here for you all to set to that percentage that is comfortable for you, but don't shy away from technology. So that's what is my message to all of you here. Thank you so much. You've been a great audience. This is a lot of tech. I am not a corporate person. I've never stepped foot in corporate. This feels like I've stepped foot in corporate. So thank you all for being a lovely audience.